Okay, come here, Finley. Come here. Hey, sit. Stay. Good boy. Good boy. Oh. It all started May of 2016, right when I was about to graduate college, when I discovered Michelle, also known as Banana Blondie 108 on YouTube. I was attracted to her vegan, rant style videos where she was just talking to her camera in the car about vegan problems, and they were super freaking hilarious and relatable, so I ended up binge watching all of her content. She had a lot of videos about yoga, and her practice was super inspiring, so I ended up following her on Instagram and seeing more and more yoga related posts popping up in my feed. And a lot of these girls were doing beautiful yoga flows, handstands, a whole new world opened up for me. My experience prior was just P90X. I had no idea what a forearm stand even was. And Michelle made me realize that this was something that was attainable for me. And I wanted to be able to do cool shit like that. All it takes is practice. There was this quote that was one of Michelle's favorite that she was always reiterating, and it really spoke to me. It was practice and all is coming. As long as you show up on your yoga mat every single day, you don't need to worry about these results that you're striving for. The consistency will bring results that you never even had anticipated. My camera battery died and I ran out of daylight, so here I am in a new location. Minus Finley, sadly. But anyways, one thing that Michelle would always stress is that yoga should be a daily practice. Now, this sounds kind of intimidating, but hear me out. So what she means is that even if your life is hectic and you feel like you don't have time, you always have 5 minutes. If you have time to scroll through your Instagram, you have time for yoga. If all you have time for that day is 5 minutes of resting in child's pose, then so be it. This symbolic act of coming to your mat every single day will help establish a routine, and you're much less likely to fall off the wagon. Skipping a day will feel incredibly weird, and you'll be more likely to do an hour-long intense practice the next day. One thing that we have to remember about yoga is that it's not a competitive sport. It doesn't matter where you're at, no one's judging you. Accepting that you may or may not be able to do certain poses because of genetic limitations, like getting into a middle split, is probably never going to happen for me. And putting my foot behind my head, I don't think my hips are capable of doing that. But this is not important. Accepting this really helps you get out of that results-based mindset. Pushing yourself into certain poses so you can take a cool pic for the gram or whatever is not what yoga is about. I mean, you might injure yourself, which is just going to set you back and prevent you from being able to practice. And yoga is supposed to help increase your mobility and decrease your risk of becoming injured. If you practice consistently and reach your edge, maybe a little bit past your edge, but not too far past your edge, then you may be surprised with the level of flexibility that you're able to reach. I would say the biggest benefit of yoga is body confidence. I'm sure most of you have struggled with body confidence issues. I know I did in middle and high school. And I'm not attributing this completely to yoga because it might have been just growing up and associating with certain people who were confident. But yoga really helps you accept your body, because when you're coming to your mat every day and honoring your body in this way, there's no reason to nitpick at every flaw. I no longer care about the things I used to care about in high school, my insecurities. I now view my body as just what it is and what it's capable of, and it's just such a beautiful thing. And practicing yoga every day makes me feel so much better mentally and physically. I wish I had taken before and after pictures because honestly, I don't know how much I've improved in certain postures. I've always had natural flexibility in my hamstrings. There was never a time when I couldn't touch my toes. I would always ace the sit and reach in in gym class, you know, when you reach past your toes, I could always reach like 6 inches past my toes. So it's not really like a fair thing to like attribute to yoga, but I know that I've definitely improved my flexibility. I've seen moderate improvements in strength. One thing that I want to stress is that yoga, while it is exercise and it is so beneficial to your body, you're not going to build like muscles. like you might get toned, but if you want to build muscles, you gotta lift weights in the gym. And personally, I freaking hate doing that, so I don't know if that's ever gonna happen for me. But yoga is something that I love, so I'm gonna do it consistently. And I have built strength. When I started yoga, I couldn't do chaturanga, which, if you don't know what that is, it's when you like press down into upward dog. I would just collapse to the ground. Like, I didn't have any strength. But now I can do chaturanga. Can't do a freaking pull-up, and my boyfriend makes fun of me and thinks that I need to do a pull-up, but I just feel like in an emergency situation, if my life depended on it, I could do a pull-up with all the adrenaline rushing through my blood. So do I really need to lift weights? One thing that's definitely improved is my balance. I can now hold a headstand, a forearm stand. I don't fall very often. I don't know if that's luck, but I'm just gonna say it's yoga. If I'm consistent in my practice, I'm able to do full split, but haven't really been consistent with that, so it's not looking so good right now. It's one of those things where you have to do it every single day or you're gonna lose it. And I'm at that point where I've lost it, but we're working on it. A lot of these scary yoga poses that I thought were so far out of reach, like so far in the distance, are actually pretty attainable if you learn the proper alignment and form. So for example, a forearm stand. That seemed so advanced. I didn't think that I'd be able to achieve that as soon as I did. But my good friend Haley, one of my old coworkers, was really into yoga, and she was freaking good. Like, she could do really cool poses, forearm stand, lotus pose in a forearm stand. I'm not quite there yet, but she convinced me that I was able to do it. She was like, girl, you can do it. You have the strength. If you can do it against a wall, you can do it away from the wall. And I was like, bitch, what are you talking about? There's no way. But she taught me that it's more about releasing fear that you have and trusting that your body knows how to fall. So she demonstrated for me, just threw her legs up in the air and fell over and showed me how to fall and told me that my body will naturally do that. So I trusted her and threw my legs up in the air, and I just fell right over. Didn't hurt myself. It was all good. So once I knew how to fall, I kind of practiced a couple times and I was able to catch my balance. And I was so freaking excited that I was able to achieve this thing that I thought was just like so out of reach. And another example was my other coworker taught me how to do a back bend from standing. So just like standing up and then flopping over into a back bend, which was terrifying. She taught me the proper technique. She was like, you need to lift your arms up in the air and bend back. As you're bending back, lift your head so you're looking back, and then follow all the way until your hands reach the ground. And she assured me that if I can do a back bend from the ground, like from the ground, pressing up from the ground, then I'd be able to catch myself in a back bend. So I trusted her, and after she spotted me a couple times, I was brave enough to try it on my own, and what do you know? I didn't kill myself, so that's cool. Of course, when I showed my brother, he was able to do it in one try, like no big deal. He doesn't even practice yoga. So that just goes to show that if you can do a back bend pressing up from the ground, all you have to do to be able to do it from standing is just to release your fear. There was another time when my 13-year-old cousin taught me how to do a pike press headstand. Now, if you don't know what this is, it's when you're planting your head on the ground and you're able to just lift your legs up, like together, into a headstand. This seemed super advanced, like there's no way I could do this. And my little cousin just pops up into a headstand and tells me that all you have to do is just shift your weight a little bit. And if you have the ab strength, you can just raise your legs. That was pretty exciting. There's no reason to feel inadequate practicing yoga. Everybody's at their own place, and there's no sense in comparing yourself to others because there's always going to be someone that's better than you. If you go to a class and people are judging you, which is very unlikely to happen, but if for whatever case there was some nasty person judging you, like, who cares? Their opinion does not matter. I would highly recommend that you check out Michelle's video titled How Not to Be a Jealous Bitch, which I've linked in my description box. You basically have to change your attitude about people you see on Instagram, for example, that you're jealous of. You have to view them as inspiration rather than competition. These feelings of jealousy often arise from the fact that this person has something that we want. And once you realize that there's nothing stopping you from going and getting that thing, it's liberating. One person's success is not preventing you from succeeding. Of course, there are things that other people have that may not be attainable for us, but even if we can't have that specific thing that we want that they have, what we can do is change our attitude about it. If you're inspired by this video to start a yoga practice, of course I would recommend joining thrivingplantbased.com, Michelle's website, where you get access to hundreds of yoga tutorials, and it's only $15 a month. I pay $9.99, but she has increased the price since then. $15 is still totally reasonable, especially if you consider how expensive studio classes are. Like, why pay $20 for one class when you can pay $15 a month for unlimited yoga tutorials that you can practice in the comfort of your own home? They're conveniently categorized by length, by level, what you want to focus on, like hip opening, back bending, arm balances, whatever you're feeling that day. There are also tons of free tutorials on YouTube. I wish I had known this back in my P90X days. Of course, I enjoy going to a yoga studio and taking a class from time to time, but it's just so nice to be able to do it at home, wherever you are, like a hotel room. You save time, money, and you don't have to hold in your farts. I would just recommend keeping your place clean and open, maybe burning some incense, lighting a candle, so that you create that space. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see a video about my yoga teacher training experience. And remember, practice and all is coming.
Yo, how when me eat them, I wonder when me eat. When me tell them say me nah eat no fish, nah no meat now. How when me eat them, I wonder when me yam. When me tell them say that I'm a vegan man. How when me eat them, I wonder when me eat. When me tell them say me nah eat no fish, nah no meat now.